My 19F boyfriend 19M gave my roommate 18F a massage while naked, and I am not sure how to move forward with either of them. To make a long story short, my boyfriend of 2 years gave my college roommate a massage while she was naked. He told me immediately after it happened and appears genuinely distressed and guilty. According to him, while I wasn't in my dorm room, he offered to give my roommate a back scratch. It escalated to him rubbing her tailbone, asking if he could take off her pants, and then later her shirt. He then panicked, realizing the situation, and stopped. According to my roommate, she was uncomfortable with the entire situation, though she admits she did not say no to him while it was happening. He tells me that the situation had nothing to do with me and that I do satisfy him sexually or otherwise, but my self-esteem has been completely destroyed. My roommate has avoided me for the past 5 days since the incident happened, and in order to try and make the peace, I reached out to her last night only to have her be angry at me for expecting her to reach out first. I feel like my feelings are being neglected by everyone involved. My roommate is panicking and regrets what happened, and claims now that it wasn't consensual. She's being difficult about talking because of her anxiety, so I am at a loss as to what to do. I've had to stay with my boyfriend the last 4 nights to avoid any conflict with her, and I don't even really know where I stand with him, because of his dorm policies. However, I had to spend last night sleeping in a student lounge. I am really looking for advice on how to move forward with my boyfriend when my self-esteem has dived off a cliff, or not knowing that I can trust him. I don't understand how him undressing and massaging her naked has nothing to do with me not satisfying him. I don't know how to move forward with my roommate either. I felt like as I wasn't involved in the situation, I shouldn't have been the first one to reach out. I am really lost, depressed, and generally confused about what to do. Too long didn't read my boyfriend gave a massage to my roommate while she was naked and later claimed that it was not consensual, though she admits to not making that clear to my boyfriend. She has been avoiding talking to me about it for days, so I don't know how to move forward with her. I don't know how to move on with my boyfriend knowing his betrayal and knowing that I am not satisfying him somehow, though he claims I have been satisfying him. If you've read all of this, thank you so much. I appreciate any and all advice. This is Trickle Truth. He is feeling guilty, so it probably eases his guilt to confess to just a massage. Then oh, she undressed too, but it didn't mean anything. You are only given half-truths in these situations. I mean, who knows? He could be telling the truth, or he could just be giving you bits and pieces to satisfy his need to confess. Ultimately though, boundaries were crossed. If it's enough that you feel the need to seek advice for this, I think you need to listen to your gut feeling. He is 19. It would honestly be weird if he got her naked and they didn't do anything. It sounds toxic. Whatever you choose though, please know you don't deserve being at the end of this. Beautiful, amazing women get cheated on all the time. It says nothing about you, and everything about the cheater. Don't let his lack of faith and integrity grind you down. Nothing you did caused this. Edit, I am saying all this because I've lived through these situations, and I am telling you what I wish someone would have told me. In the long run, you don't deserve it. It really isn't worth it at all. You're so young. Guys treated me so horribly at 19. You don't need to be dealing with heavy situations like this. Thank you for this reply. It helped me a lot. I have a lot to think about. Sounds like they got caught up in a moment and took things too far. They probably regret it, but trust has been broken. Don't let your roommate kick you out of the room. You have no reason to not sleep there aside from pushing back an awkward situation. Second story. I 21 male just caught my GF 20 female texting topless photos of herself to friends. My GF and I have been dating for just over a year now. She wanted to get her nipples pierced for a while now, and a few weeks ago, she went through with it. She talked about his pretty openly with a lot of her friends, which seemed kind of strange to me. But it's not really my business what she talks about, so I didn't really care. A couple days ago I happened to be looking over her shoulder as she was texting one of her friends, and I saw that she was texting a topless photo of herself. I confronted her about this, and she told me that she was showing him her new piercings. I got pretty angry, and asked her how many times she'd done this, and she showed me her recent texts. From what I could tell, she sent photos to 5 guys and 6 girls. I basically flipped out and asked her why the hell she thought I would be okay with that. And she said it was totally non-sexual and she didn't see why it was a big deal. We fought about it for a few minutes and she apologized, but didn't even seem to realize why I was so upset. What should I do here? Am I right to be upset about this? It would be one thing if it was just her female friends, but the thought that 5 other guys had just seen my girlfriend's OO and have photos of her to add to their personal spank bank seriously bothers me. I know some of these guys, and the thought that they've all seen my GF in such an intimate way really pisses me off. These weren't even just pics of her nips. They were full body pics of her topless, wearing just sweatpants with her face in full view. She basically offered to show them without them even having to ask, which makes it even worse in my opinion. I really don't know what to do here. Too long didn't read. I just caught my GF sending topless pictures of herself to several friends. I don't know what to do. Update. After taking a day to think about it, I decided to talk to her like a lot of people were suggesting. I brought up that I was really angry about what she did and it violated my personal boundaries. She asked what the problem was and I told her that I wasn't comfortable with her sending those kind of pictures to other guys while we were dating. She just said that I had nothing to worry about and it was totally non-sexual. I was getting pretty angry at that point, so I just told her that even if she really felt that way, it was still a serious problem for me. She asked me why I was so obsessed with this and I just kind of flipped out and told her to knock it off or we were done. She asked me to calm down and still didn't seem to understand why I was so upset. I was getting really annoyed that she kept expecting me to explain something this obvious, so I just broke up with her right there. She seemed a little upset and asked if I was sure, and said it was a pretty dumb thing to break up over. I just said I was sure and walked away. I think I made the right decision. I tried a couple times but she really didn't seem to give any ducks, so walking away was the best choice I had. There are a million other girls out there who aren't crazy. Third story. My daughter passed away in Sept and my boyfriend keeps hounding me for tax. You can see some from my history that my 20-year-old daughter died under tragic circumstances. After a night of drinking, she was taken to a man's home. He gave her a fatal dose of fentanyl he had taxed with her and she died. It took 4 weeks to find that she had alcohol, Xanax and a fatal dose of fentanyl in her system. No meth, heroin, crack or needle marks. The investigation was still ongoing but her property was released to me since it was ruled an accidental overdose. I received many messages that this man took pictures while they were having tax and didn't call for help. He waited many hours before he finally called. I found out via Facebook my daughter was dead, and the detectives never came to speak with me. This man had an extensive criminal history, DUI with bodily injury, leaving the scene, drug trafficking of narcotics, and did time in federal prison as well. Well, 44 days after my daughter died, I started receiving messages the man responsible had died. He had quite the lengthy drug and alcohol problem that finally caught up. No foul play was suspected. When we heard, my oldest daughter immediately called the detective handling her case. First to report he had died and second to find out if anything had been obtained from his cell phone and was told it would take time. She asked how they were able to get the info from my daughter's phone so quickly since it was returned to us. Lo and behold, the detective who had no idea she had a phone was at my home 30 minutes later asking me to sign a release and give it to them for the investigation. Everything is still under investigation and the narcotics unit is involved. Cell's phone, messages, Facebook, Snapchat, you name it. I'll have fully cooperated and still waiting for any news. I do feel some comfort, knowing this man is gone and can't do this to someone else's daughter. But I am far from being normal. I have been in therapy and suffering from PTSD, depression and anxiety. I am on medication and doing much better than I ever thought I could. Comparing Sept 3 to now is like night and day. I am able to function, eat, sleep, go to work and do day-to-day things without crying and wanting to die. I can talk about the good times and tell cute stories about her. Some days I pretend she is still here and talk about her with my patients. I have times where I am sad and think about things and cry a little, but it's no longer my entire day. Well, about 3 weeks ago, my BF tried to have tax with me. I told him no and that I wasn't ready. I told him it had nothing to do with him, and that I can't get the pictures of what he did to my little girl out of my head. I told him it has nothing to do with him and that I am working on it with my therapist. Things have gone to shit since then. From the time I wake up until the time I go to bed, I am telling him no and to knock it off. I leave house to get away from him because I am tired of telling him to leave alone. I've even gone so far that I laid there naked and said just do it and leave me the duck alone. Of course he said that took the mood right out of it, so never mind. I am so close to telling him to get out and leave me the hell alone. How long should the grieving time be for a parent? He has no children and has his brother, sister and parents. He has never felt the loss I have, but Jesus, it looks like he could give me some understanding. If I can't do it, I just can't. My brain doesn't even think about it because of the antidepressants I am on. I just want to be able to sleep, get up, go to work, clean house, cook dinner and such. I miss my daughter so much. I don't know what normal will be anymore. Update. Some of you sent me very kind words and they really helped me during a difficult and frustrating time. The investigation started taking another turn and was being actively pursued. Lo and behold, the man that did this to my daughter died suddenly. It was not foul play and I won't discuss more for confidentiality reasons. I no longer am carrying the anger, fear and frustration that was eating me inside. I feel some peace and know that he can't do this to anyone else's baby. They are still waiting on some forensics and will still finish the investigation. Thank you to everyone that was so kind to me. Fourth story. My boyfriend says he didn't cheat, but the evidence suggests otherwise. Throwaway account for obvious reasons. I am 23F. 4 days ago I was happily dating the love of my life, 25 meters. We had been together for 3 years. We have a house, a car, and several pets. 3 days ago he came home from work with all of his belongings from work in a bag and explained that he had no intention of going back. He said there had been rumors going around that he had slept with his co-worker. I didn't think much of it, but I asked if I could see his phone to take a look at his text messages. I picked up his phone and read his texts with the girl. Let's call her Consilla. Odd. They had not texted in a month, even though I knew they had texted to arrange meetups, as they were friends outside of work. I went to text with an unknown number and he ripped it from my hands. I demanded to know what he was hiding and he said don't freak out. But it's texts from our friend asking if I slept with Consilla. In these texts was a warning that a concerned stranger would be messaging me on Facebook to tell me all about his infidelity. I went to my computer and found messages from this girl that only contained the thumbs up symbol. I approached her and she resent me her previous message, alluding to a night where she had witnessed the two of them interacting and was told by Consilla personally that she had slept with my boyfriend multiple times. My boyfriend deleted the messages from her, and she informed me he had also deleted messages from Consilla's husband. In the days that followed I gathered as many witnesses as possible. Consilla's husband, brother-in-law, close friend, and a co-worker who all confirmed my worst nightmare that the affair truly did happen. They included brutal details about where it happened, how many times, and even details about my boyfriend's penis. Consilla messaged me and told me she spread a terrible lie to find an excuse to walk away from her marriage, and nothing physical had ever occurred between her and my boyfriend. I was doubtful, but held on to a sliver of hope that she was a psychopath and my boyfriend was the victim. My boyfriend and I decided to work things out, with ground rules going forward about friendships and boundaries. We were literally kissing and making up when I get a text from Consilla telling me she did in fact sleep with my boyfriend multiple times and there were feelings involved. And she felt too guilty not telling me that she had only lied because my boyfriend instructed her to. I told her not to be a coward and tell me to my face, so she tells me to call. I call her and I asked where it happened and she said my house and hers, in my bedroom and spare room. I asked her to describe my house and she was able to accurately describe the most minute of details. I screamed at my boyfriend until I was blue in the face to just admit that he ducked her, but still he maintains his innocence. Help me Reddit, is there any chance he could be telling the truth? If so, how will I ever find out? This has caused me severe anxiety. I haven't eaten or slept, and I've missed work because I am a non-functioning human at the moment. I need closure one way or the other. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Update. Yesterday morning my ex-boyfriend picked me up from work after doing an overnight shift. We sat in the car for 2 hours talking. I told him that I already knew he had cheated but it would bring me closure if he admitted it, and that if he ever truly loved me or had any respect for me he would tell me the truth. Through tear-filled eyes he finally told the truth. Everything I had heard was true. The affair had been going on for 2 months and they slept together 25 plus times without protection. The majority of the time was in my bed while I was at work or visiting family, but a few times it happened in her marital bed too. I initially handled it really well. Too well in fact. I was looking on the bright side. At least we had not gotten married or had children. Then I got high and let my friends create a Tinder profile for me. The messages started piling in and the prospect of ever moving on became too overwhelming, and thus became the start of a breakdown. I am still not eating or sleeping, throwing up, have a constant migraine from crying so hard, and am finding excuses not to go into work. For all those who said I should sleep with Consilla's husband, the thought had crossed my mind. We actually got together for lunch, and I discovered he was a really attractive, fantastic person, with a lot going for him. Sadly, he still loves Consilla and wants to work things out. I have been staying at a friend's place while he stays in the house. I took the dog and cats with me, as well as our car. I don't know where to go from here. I still love him deeply and wish there was some way to recover from this, but I won't subject myself to a relationship where I am constantly in fear of this happening again. It's hard to imagine a time where I will never be okay again, but I have a really great support system around me. Thank you to all the Redditors who reached out with words of support and your own personal experiences with infidelity. It really meant a lot. Hit like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to our channel.